I'd like to thank you for watching another edition of College Blok. Before I introduce my guest, I have just a special shout out. I'd like to send my condolences out to the Henry family. Dan Roy Henry, he was a Pace University football player that was recently, murdered by the police. So I wanted to send my condolences out to his family and to any of the other families that had misfortunes losing their young people to unfortunate incidents. So as of right now, I'm going to introduce my guests today. These are my colleagues. Some really positive guys that I grew up with. First we have Lord Judah,
Peace, peace.
artist and educator. Then we have Al from Hero on Lex. He's an entrepreneur, business owner.
Thanks for having me, bro.
No problem. So first, I want to just touch on that just briefly as far as my ideas is I think that there should be I think that in some cases the police shouldn't react so quickly, especially when it comes to drawing their weapons, especially when it comes to accidentally, shooting unarmed people, or someone's in a car speeding off. I guess, is a car a weapon? Is that what it is? I mean, they feel that they're in danger, the car is a weapon, so they shoot first, ask questions later. What is your take on that as far as how the police deal with some of these situations where people are shot and then we find out later on that it could have been handled differently?
Yeah, well, these particular instances, when they continue to happen, it seems like it's a trend.
Okay.
And we go from showing Bell to other instances to this one. And as far as what I learned about dealing with the police is that you should not provoke them in any kind of way. I don't know if this scenario was one of those where they felt provoked.
Right.
But the profiling scenario is nothing that has been changing.
Right, okay.
All the way down to the individual that Obama had to have a conversation with the police officer and the professor.
Right, I remember that incident, right.
So, I mean, the temperature of what's going on in this country seems like it's somewhat is intended to change, but we just keep getting instances, and it keeps seeming like it's it's just a trend, and the training of the officers has to come into question when incidences like this happen, and basically that particular city should be held accountable, and they should be investigated in regards to their training on how they deal with young people. And then professionals should be brought in to now permanently deal with their officers and deal with them in regards to training so that they will respond properly, because, I mean, until you do a full investigation, you're not going to know exactly what happened.
Right, have all the facts, okay.
But when things like this happen, you get the students' reaction very emotional, and it gets spin out of control.
Okay.
So these it just seems like the trends, it just becomes a trend, and the young people are, to a degree, terrorized.
Right.
So I always never really, I stay as far away from police as I can, because, and I talk to them properly. I know some that are nice officers.
Right, I know.
But then
a
I
lot
know
of
some
them.
that'll look at me sideways as well. And I don't know them neither, because I don't go that far, because I can already sense that I probably should not talk to this individual. So, this is another message for young people, just always keep in mind provoking and what that may mean to you.
Right. It may be different for someone else, especially dealing with law enforcement. Yeah. So what's your take on how the police deal with some of the situations?
I think it just like he says, it's repetitiously happening to a group of individuals. It's not happening to everybody. Now, I don't know if it is, and they're just not publicizing it, but it seems like the minorities get the worst end of the stick when it comes to this situation here.
Right, okay.
It's always a disadvantage type of situation, and they find a way to get out of it without it being an issue.
Right.
Without having to be held responsible for it, whether it's, being penalized, criminal time, or, they escape it. Amadou Diallo, they shoot a man down, and it's really like, oh, they were scared for their lives, and to me it puzzles me because if you're trying to stop somebody, I can see you shooting them in the leg. You know, a gunshot, from what it seems to be, is very painful.
Right.
I would suppose you could shoot an individual in the leg. You know, I guess police officers are probably just taught to shoot directly in the body, which is going to be, you know, more harmful, more fatal. But it is definitely repetitious, and we don't see other people going through these instances.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, you know, the young
Mm-hmm.
blacks.
And you look at just down the street, Officer Ridley. That, you know, when that happened, I remember walking past there, like 20 minutes later, I heard about, you know, that it happened.
Right.
And you know, that was a scenario, kind of like a profiling, you know, type of scenario, because it was two black men tussling.
Right.
And well, we didn't know he had a badge, but
Right.
you know, the training is highly important for these young officers, because now they're young, a lot of them younger than us, you know.
Right. Right.
So
fresh out of
How they
high school.
right, how they prepare for the environment is true. I think they should do a lot more intense training to prepare them for the environment. You know, what they pay cops is not substantial to a degree, so I kind of figure maybe the state doesn't have a lot of money for training.
Right.
You know, who knows? But it seems like a lot of inadequate training if you don't want to take it in a different direction. You know, you can label it as a racist situation
Right.
a lot of these times. But if you don't want to label it that, then it got to be, or most likely is, inadequate training then.
Right.
If these guys feel like, you know, I have to pull my weapon and use it.
Right.
And actually, where this individual was shot, Denroy Henry, they said they haven't pulled their weapons in like 20 years or something like that, or shot their gun in at least 20 years.
Right.
So I find it, you know, crazy that you find it to use it for this situation.
Right. Right.
You know, that's just puzzled me. If the car was used as a weapon, you know, maybe you kind of question that, but it's still rather harsh. You know,
Right.
for it to end up this way.
And the interesting thing that, you know, I have a lot of fellow police officers, friends, fellow officers that I talk with, and a lot of times when they explain to me how the academy works where their profile of what a criminal looks like and what a criminal dresses like, you know what I mean? It may be stuff that we wear as fashion, baggy jeans, a hoodie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, it
To them,
definitely
it
is.
looks conspicuous,
Yeah,
or it
definitely, yeah.
it fits the profile of
a criminal,
of a potential.
or potential criminal.
Right. And you know, a lot of times that we, I guess, fall into that stereotypical, you know what I'm saying, perspective.
Yeah.
It's troubling though, like I said, because you don't see it happening to everybody else.
Right.
You know, you can name other groups of people. How often has it been that they have been shot down in public, you know, and treated this way, and it hasn't been anything behind it?
Right.
You know, I haven't heard of, I can't name anybody else that I've heard of being shot down this many times. Now, it could be coincidence if it was 1 in 10 years, 1 in 20 years, but
Okay.
this is like a common situation, right?
Right.